G'day everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun Mind Force. Welcome to today's bus talk. It's a bit of a bus rant actually, but I want to talk about something that's very dear to my heart and something that's frustrated me in all the years I've been practicing Wing Chun. As you know, Wing Chun was invented by a woman, Nung Mei, and taught to a young woman, Yim Wing Chun, who then beat a warlord, bully, kung fu fighter. And that story has been passed on for generations, and Master Yip Man passed the story on to Master Chu Shong Tin, who passed it on to my Sifu, Master Jim Fung, who wrote it down in his blue book, and Sigong Chu Shong Tin writes the same story down in his book of Wing Chun. Yet recently I saw a video, I won't say who it was, but somebody's got a great channel, but was basically saying that Nung Mei and Yim Wing Chun were bullshit, that they didn't exist, that there was no records at all of it, and that one particular historian had apparently proved it. Now, I'm not a Chinese historian at all. I can say, though, that I trust these elders to be telling something that's probably mostly the truth. And I have personal reasons for believing it's the truth too, but that's another story. However, I just think it's another one of those put downs of women in a funny sort of way in this world where we're so affirmative about women, even to the point of going on a bit too much about it. But it's always good to empower women, I reckon. And especially not just women, but people who don't have the stature of a big bloke, of the sort of person that's likely to be an attacker or a thug, a bully. Basically, a bullies usually rely on either being bigger or having a weapon or being in a pack or a combination. But women need to realise, this is my sort of rant, my thing is, why don't women know about what Wing Chun's really about? Why don't they know how incredibly powerful it is? Well, part of it is that Wing Chun is often taught wrong. Now, I'm not going to get myself into hot water here, but the way my Sifu and my Sigong and Dai Sigong, Yip Man, taught Wing Chun was not the way you see it taught in lots of schools and lots of YouTube channels, which are all basically a form of boxing. Now, boxing is a great art, and I know from my own experience as a young fella, I was taught Western boxing, and that put me way above just about anybody I ever fought. Just having that non-telegraphing, guarding your chin, straight punches, knowing when to hook when you need to, but mostly going straight in as quickly as possible, hit the target, hit them hard, and move around and be alive. And that's what I love about boxing, and I still apply that spirit to my Wing Chun if I was going to be in a fight. But as I've ranted on for years about, Wing Chun is a way of accessing your subconscious power, basically the power of an animal. So if you're a small person, if you're 5'2" and you weigh 60 kilos, and you're up against some dude or even a really big woman who's like 100 kilos, you're at a huge disadvantage. You just look at the boxing ring, and they have weight categories for a reason, because every 10 kilos of weight is an enormous amount of extra force and mass to throw at somebody. I'm going to change that. I think they absolutely need it, so I might have to pull my patriarchal authority out of my pocket and say, you've got to train, I've got to teach you at least the basics. And the reason is, it's a dangerous world. It's a dangerous world for males and females, but for a female, especially a lone female, they are a target of unwanted attention a lot, especially out in the night where everyone's pissed and stoned and hopped up on God knows what, and just nasty. Women are an easy target and a selected target because, of their attraction. So women really do need to learn this art, but it's not getting done. And if you teach women to fight like a man, if you teach Wing Chun just as multiple punches or stepping around the force or angles of attack and things like that, it's some help, but in the end, it's not a lot of help because they're outclassed, they're outsized. The real Wing Chun, and I know it's the real Wing Chun, is a method of learning to relax and let go of all that strength and that conscious mind's techniques and tricks and access the unconscious, the subconscious, the superconscious. Whatever you want to call it, the ndard, that's what it is. To access that other mind that's not the conscious mind at the front. When you can do that, it turns you into a super person, a superwoman, or a superman. And it gives you the power of an animal. Now, that's not inconsiderable. Animals are incredibly strong, and the reason they are incredibly strong is mostly because of their minds. They don't have a conscious mind thinking everything through. They just are. And that's hard for us to understand because we don't mostly live in the jungle or the wild. So we live so safely and softly that we don't really know what it's like to live on the edge. And when you live on the edge, you don't have time to sit around pontificating like I am right here, endlessly thinking about stuff. You've just got to survive. You've just got to fight for your survival every day. Kill other stuff to eat it. Try to stop them eating you. Try to stop falling over a cliff, or all the things that can happen to you. I'm trying to find, I'd be really pleased if you want to give me your comments below about how we can attract more women to Kung Fu, to Wing Chun. I mean, Kung Fu. I think of Wing Chun as one of the most real of the Kung Fus, most traditional. And I've told my story before, but it's such a pity that I can't introduce you to Sifu Susanna Ho, who I only trained with part-time for a couple of years, but God almighty, she was impressive and she taught me so much. Luckily, I wrote down what she taught me because I've been going through those notes and learning a lot from them. But she was literally, a very slender person, probably only weighed 60 kilos, maybe less. But I saw her handle us, and I've told a story of her handling a guy bigger than me, and the guy got aggressive and cheeky with her, and she flung him through the air and smashed him into the wall, and he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to do anything else. He knew that he was way outclassed. And to see it with your own eyes rather than hear the story, it was quite miraculous. It was just to see this little Chinese lady, very quiet person, and this great big bikie basically, she just flung him, and you get the power was palpable, and you realize that if she'd had hit him or kicked him, he would have been in big trouble. So how did she do it? Well, she listened to Qigong. She trained for 11 years with Qigong Chu Chong Tin in Hong Kong, and she was lucky, being Chinese, she was able to talk to him in the mother tongue as it is, and get to some of the essence that I've tried to get to, through talking to my Chinese friends who are really good at the art, and, really senior people who've been at 40, 50 years, picking their brains about what the words really mean. Because once you understand what it's really about, it's sort of easy. The main problem is not believing that it's possible. And even after so many years of training, there's still times when my mind thinks, is that right? Is that possible? And I've been training a lot harder recently, and I've been doing every form, all 6 forms every day for quite a few weeks, and I'm really feeling it. And I sort of kicked myself up the butt and said, come on, it's time you really mastered this art. It's time you really lived like you're a Kung Fu monk or something like that. So that's the rant. I'm writing a book tentatively called something like Beautiful Springtime, The Deadly Art of Women's Kung Fu. I don't want to alienate guys, but I have quite a following out there amongst libraries and schools where I've been teaching Japanese manga, which is comics, for years. And it slowed right down my speaking engagements over the COVID period. But I want to get this book out there because I really want women and girls to hear about this and just make people aware. I'll leave you with one thought. I was reading an article about why are monkeys so powerful. And there was a number of top scientists talking about it, and they were all trying to work out why is their twitch speed faster? Have they got special types of muscles? What is it? What can it be? And they didn't say one thing about their consciousness. Not a thing. And their conclusion was, this was in a scientific magazine, their conclusion was, we just don't understand because they seem to have exactly the same twitch speed and muscles as us. They don't have any real advantage. So why are they maybe 10 times stronger and faster? Well, it's the mind. It's the ndard. They live in the ndard. They live in that sort of blissful, wild, natural mind. And when they express it, it's just like the wind blowing. It's not conscious. And that's what we're aiming to do. That's the old story of Kung Fu, the monks up there in the monasteries in the mountains, becoming one with nature, learning the ways of the animals, the tiger and the crane and the panda and the, what's it called? The praying mantis or the locust or whatever the hell. But it's all about getting back to nature. Anyway, I'm working on that project. I hope you'll support me when I bring it out. If you don't want a book about women's Kung Fu, buy it for your mum or your sister or your cousins or your girlfriend or whoever. But it'll be good. I'm going to put everything into it. This is not just, obviously I'm promoting my book a little bit here, but this really has been on my heart for years and years and years. Just how do we get women, for all the talk of empowerment, how do we get women to find out what really empowers them is this art that makes them literally the equal of men if they can do it. Okay, see you later.